Hello, I'm Johnny Cash. Just hearing those words, in that voice, it just conjures up this whole image, this legend.
Instantly. Unmistakable.
Exactly. So today we're doing a deep dive into the life of Johnny Cash, the Man in Black. It's an extraordinary story full of contradictions, but also profoundly influential.
Absolutely.
Our mission here is to really take this stack of fascinating sources we have, covering everything from his birth in Arkansas right up to those final haunting recordings, and just distill what made him so unique, such a singular figure. This isn't just, a biography A to Z. It's more like a journey into the man himself behind the music. His triumphs, sure, but also his struggles and the huge impact he left.
And that deep dive is so important because, well, what really makes Cash stand out is how fiercely authentic he was, wasn't he? Almost radically so.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
He navigated these huge personal battles, massive societal changes, the music industry itself, which can be brutal.
Oh, definitely.
And somehow he stayed true to himself. So by the end of this, you'll have, I think, a much deeper feel for the Man in Black, but also maybe appreciate the nuances, the raw humanity that defined him.
Yeah, those surprising bits.
Exactly. You'll see how his whole journey connects to these bigger themes: struggle, redemption, and just unwavering conviction, really.
Yeah.
The roots of a legend, early life and influences.
Okay, so let's start right at the beginning. Trace those roots. Johnny Cash, well, he was born J.R. Cash, February 26, 1932, in Kingsland, Arkansas.
Humble beginnings.
Very. His parents were poor cotton farmers. And that background, that working class reality, it wasn't just where he came from, it fundamentally shaped his whole outlook on life.
You see it throughout his music.
Completely. When he was just 3, the family moved to Dyes, Arkansas. And Dyes was interesting. It was a New Deal colony.
Ah, right. Set up during the Depression.
Exactly. Part of Roosevelt's plan to give impoverished families a shot, working land they might eventually own. So you can imagine the sort of atmosphere there, shared struggle, but also a kind of earnest hope, maybe.
Definitely would leave a mark on a kid.
And he was working from age 5, out in the cotton fields alongside his family. But even then, music was there. They'd sing together while they worked. So it was this early immersion in both, hard labor and the power of music.
That combination is key, I think.
But it wasn't easy. Dyes had this devastating flood when he was a kid. That experience later directly inspired 5 Feet High and Rising, one of his really memorable songs.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So all these things, the poverty, the community struggle, facing natural disasters, it all fed into this lifelong empathy he had for the poor, for working people. It's a thread you see everywhere in his work.
Absolutely. Those early struggles, they weren't just like background noise. They really forged the core themes in his music, didn't they?
Yeah.
You hear the sorrow, the moral struggles,
Yeah.
and always that search for redemption. It wasn't theoretical for him. It was lived experience.
Right.
And speaking of sorrow, the death of his older brother Jack was just devastating.
Oh, that story's heartbreaking.
Yeah. Cash was only 12. This was 1944.
Right.
Jack got caught in an unguarded table saw at work. Horrible injuries. Died a week later.
Just awful.
And Cash wrote in his autobiography that he, his mom, even Jack himself, they all had this weird feeling, this premonition about that day.
Really?
Yeah. His mother apparently begged Jack to skip work, go fishing with JR instead.
Yeah.
But Jack felt responsible, the family needed the money.
Wow.
So Cash carried this immense guilt about it his whole life. And it really embedded this deep yearning for like a heavenly reunion with Jack. It underscored the spiritual foundation of his life.
Turned tragedy into something spiritual in a way.
Exactly. Shaped his core being, really.
But beyond the fields and the tragedy, his musical world was also being built, pulling from some maybe unexpected places. Even before Jack died, his earliest memories were filled with gospel music. He heard it everywhere. And the radio was huge back then.
Oh, yeah. Central.
It was his mother and a childhood friend who taught him guitar. And amazingly, he started writing his own songs around age 12.
That young.
Wow. Yeah. And it's fascinating, right? As a young guy, he had a high tenor voice, not the deep bass baritone we all know.
Really?
That came later. In high school, he was already performing on a local radio station in Arkansas, a little glimpse of what was to come.
Testing the waters.
And he never forgot those roots. Years later, he put out that album, My Mother's Hymn Book, all traditional gospel songs.
Yeah, that's a beautiful record.
But here's a surprise influence, traditional Irish music. He apparently heard it performed by Dennis Day on the Jack Benny radio program.
Irish music. On Jack Benny.
Yeah. Kind of amazing, right? The future Man in Black, finding inspiration in Irish folk tunes on a comedy show, shows his eclectic taste early on.
It really does. It's amazing how all these different threads, gospel, country, Irish folk, came together to make his sound so unique.
Hello.
And then came a really big turning point, the military. He enlisted in the Air Force July 7th, 1950, right after the Korean War started.
Yeah, okay.
After basic training, he got assigned as a Morse code operator, stationed in Landsberg, West Germany, intercepting Soviet Army messages.
Wow, right in the heart of the Cold War.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And here's that incredible story his daughter Roseanne tells often. Cash was supposedly the first American to get the news of Joseph Stalin's death via Morse code.
No way. That's unbelievable.
Think about it. A massive historical moment decoded by a young J.R. Cash in Germany.
Wild.
And even there, he couldn't stop the music. He formed his first band, the Landsberg Barbarians.
Oh, great name.
Isn't it? Shows music was just in him no matter what.
Oh.
And that scar on his jaw, he got that during this time from surgery to remove a cyst.
Ah, okay. I always wondered about that. So this whole period from Arkansas to Germany, it also tracks the evolution of his name, right?
Interesting.
He was born J.R. Cash. Apparently a compromise. His mom wanted John. His dad wanted Ray.
They are.
But the Air Force needed a first name, regulations. So he became John R. Cash.
Makes sense.
And then finally, Johnny Cash came when he signed with Sun Records in 1955. That's the name that stuck.
The iconic name.
And speaking of identity, his ancestry adds another layer. He was mainly English, and Scottish traced the Cash name back to 11th century Scotland in Fife.
Okay.
And his paternal grandmother always claimed Cherokee ancestry. That was part of the family story for years.
Right, I've heard that.
But then a DNA test on his daughter Roseanne for that show, Finding Your Roots.
What is that?
It found no known Native American markers. Instead, it showed she had about 3.3% sub-Saharan African DNA.
Really?
Yeah, from both her mother's and father's sides, traced back to enslaved African ancestors, including a specific third great-grandmother, Sarah A. Shields.
Wow. That's a powerful discovery. Adds another whole dimension to his story, doesn't it?
It really does. Just shows how complex these family histories can be.
It really does. It
Yeah.
just shows how complex these family histories can be.
Yeah.
These two. The spark of a career.
Memphis and early stardom.
Okay, moving ahead to 1954. Cash and his first wife, Vivian Liberto, they settle in Memphis.
Ground zero for a musical revolution happening right then.
Totally.
Yeah.
But it wasn't instant stardom. He was selling appliances during the day, still hoping maybe to be a radio announcer.
Yeah.
You know, working on that voice. Still grinding.
Definitely. But at night, he was chasing the music dream, playing with Luther Perkins on guitar and Marshall Grant on bass.
The Tennessee Two.
That's them. Later, the Tennessee Three. And their sound was just immediate, that distinctive train-like chugging guitar rhythm.
Boom-chicka-boom. Yeah. Instantly recognizable.
Became his signature sound, really. That was the engine starting up.
So how does this guy, cotton farmer, Air Force vet, appliance salesman, gospel singer at heart, how does he actually break into that Memphis rockabilly scene?
Right, that's the question. And the answer lies in that pivotal audition at Sun Records with Sam Phillips.
The legendary Sam Phillips.
The one and only. Cash first tried playing him gospel songs. Sincere, but not quite what Phillips was looking for, commercially speaking.
Didn't fit the Sun sound he was crafting.
Exactly. Now, there's that famous story, which Cash himself denied later, but the legend is Phillips told him to go home and sin, then come back with a song I can sell.
Huh. Whether he said it or not, the message was clear.
Right. Phillips needed something with an edge, something that could sell. And Cash eventually won him over, not with gospel, but with his own songs, delivered in that raw, early rockabilly style.
He found the formula.
And bam, history. 1955, his first Sun recordings, Hey Porter and Cry, Cry, Cry. Released in June, hit the country charts almost immediately. His career just took off.
Incredible start.
And right after that, we get this legendary moment, the $1 Million Quartet.
Oh yeah, iconic.
Just picture it. December 4th, 1956, Elvis Presley, already huge, just pops into Sun Studios. Carl Perkins is there recording. Jerry Lee Lewis is on piano.
A casual Tuesday at Sun Records.
Right. And Johnny Cash is there too. And they just start jamming an impromptu session with these four guys who are about to become absolute giants.
Unbelievable.
And Sam Phillips, smart guy, just let the tapes roll. A lot of it was gospel songs, actually. Those tapes survived.
Thank goodness.
Cash said later in his autobiography he was actually standing furthest from the mic, singing higher to try and blend in with Elvis.
Huh. That's funny. Just a snapshot in time, isn't it? Before they were all massive stars, just young guys making music, creating rock and roll history without even realizing it. But, you know, that session, legendary as it is, Kind of hints at some growing issues for Cash at Sun. His career was exploding.
For sure.
But he was getting frustrated. Folsom Prison Blues hit the country top 5. I Walk the Line went #1 country, even cracked the pop top 20. He was Sun's biggest seller, probably.
Yeah, most consistent.
But he felt boxed in. Phillips didn't really want him recording gospel, which was huge for Cash.
The core part of him.
And the royalty rate was low, like 3% when 5% was more standard. Plus, Elvis had left for RCA, and Cash felt Phillips was putting all the focus and promotion onto Jerry Lee Lewis.
The killer. Yeah, understandable frustration.
Still, even with those issues, he made history at Sun. First Sun artist to release a full LP, a long-playing album, in 1957.
So with all that building up, it makes sense he'd look elsewhere. He made a big move, signing a really lucrative deal with Columbia Records in 1958.
Smart career move.
Paid off immediately, got hits like "Don't Take Your Guns to Town." But here's the weird part. He ended up with new records coming out on 2 labels at the same time.
How did that happen?
Because he'd recorded so much stuff at Sun, Phillips had this huge backlog. So Sun kept releasing unheard Cash singles and albums until, like, 1964.
Wow. That's unusual.
Yeah.
Speaks to how much he was recording back then.
Absolutely prolific.
And this whole time, his image is starting to solidify, right? That Man in Black look.
Yeah, but the origin story is kind of funny.
Not some grand statement at first.
Apparently not. Other artists used to tease him, call him the Undertaker, because he always wore black.
Ah.
He said he just chose black clothes because they were easier to keep clean on tour. Practicality.
Makes sense on the road.
Oh.
But that practical choice, well, it evolved into something much, much bigger, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely. One of the most iconic symbols in music history, went on black and his contradictions. So yeah, from just being practical, that look evolved into this profound Man in Black persona.
It became his identity.
Totally. Always on stage in those all-black suits, the knee-length coats. It was such a contrast to the sparkly rhinestone suits everyone else in country music wore then.
Stood out immediately. Stark.
And later, he gave it this really deep meaning. Said he wore black for the poor, the hungry, the prisoners, people betrayed by drugs or age, and for the lives lost in Vietnam.
A uniform of conscience, almost.
Exactly. He even said something like, apart from the Vietnam War being over, I don't see much reason to change. There's still plenty of darkness to carry off. It was this powerful, unwavering statement.
But, and this is where it gets complex, that public image, that uniform, was often in stark contrast with his private reality during those years.
The contradictions, yeah.
Huge internal conflict.
Yeah.
As his career took off in the late 50s, he started drinking really heavily, got addicted to amphetamines, barbiturate.
Speed and downers, a dangerous mix.
Terribly. He even shared an apartment for a while in Nashville with Waylon Jennings, both of them deep into amphetamine addiction.
Wow. That must have been chaotic.
Friends apparently joked about his nervousness, his erratic behavior, kind of brushed off the warning signs.
Tragically common sometimes.
But what's wild is, even in that chaos, his creativity was still firing. He had massive hits, like Ring of Fire, huge crossover success, #1 country, top 20 pop.
Incredible song.
But even that song has conflicting stories around it, right? Cash claimed the mariachi horns came to him in a dream, divine inspiration.
Okay.
But his first wife, Vivian, wrote in her book that he basically gave June Carter co-writing credit for financial reasons.
Ah. So maybe less mystical, more practical?
Exactly. It kind of highlights that messy mix of art, relationships, fame, business. It wasn't always clear-cut with him. The narrative could shift.
Speaking of messy, that Los Padres National Forest Fire incident in '65, that sounds completely wild.
That's a legendary, infamous story. June 1965, he's on a fishing trip with his nephew. His camper catches fire.
Okay, an accident. Oh.
It started a massive forest fire, burned over 500 acres, 3 mountainsides, and killed or drove off most of the area's endangered California condors.
Oh my God, that's awful. What caused it?
That's where the stories diverge. Cash claimed it was a defect in the truck's exhaust. His nephew thought Cash, likely high on drugs, started a campfire to stay warm and just lost control.
Yikes.
And when the judge asked him about it later, Cash apparently said, completely out of it, I didn't do it, my truck did, and it's dead, so you can't question it.
Oh, defiant.
And supposedly, he dismissed the dead condors, saying something like, I don't care about your damn yellow buzzards.
Yeah.
Just shows the state he was in.
Unbelievable. Did he face consequences?
Oh, yeah. The federal government sued him. He ended up settling for over $80,000. A really stark reflection of how bad things had gotten. Yeah, that incident, and others like it, definitely fueled that outlaw image he cultivated.
Right.
But it's important to remember, despite the image, He never actually did hard time, never served a prison sentence. He was arrested, maybe 7 times for misdemeanors, but always just held overnight.
Okay, so no felony conviction.
Right, like May 65, arrested in Starkville, Mississippi for trespassing to pick flowers late at night.
Picking flowers. Seriously.
Yep. That became the song Starkville City Jail, which he talked about on the At San Quentin album.
Huh. Turning life into art. Even then.
Then, October 65, arrested in El Paso. Narcotics squad thought he was smuggling heroin from Mexico.
Oh, boy.
Turns out it was hundreds of dextrine pills, amphetamines, and Equinil, a sedative, hidden in his guitar case.
Whoa.
But since they were prescription, technically he got a suspended sentence, posted bail, and walked.
Lucky in a way.
But the real turning point, arrest-wise, was his last one, 1967, Walker County, Georgia. Car accident. Cops found pills. He tried to bribe the deputy.
Not good.
Deputy refused. Cash spent the night in jail. But the sheriff, Ralph Jones, apparently had this long, serious talk with him before letting him go. Warned him about wasting his life, his talent.
A wake-up call.
Cash himself credited that conversation, that sheriff, with helping him turn things around. He even went back to Lafayette later and played a huge benefit concert for the town. Raised a ton of money. Showed that interaction really stuck with him.
So, what were the personal costs of all this? His marriage, for instance.
Yeah, the consequences were severe. He and Vivian Liberto separated in '62. Divorced, finalized in '66. The reasons cited were his drug and alcohol abuse, his affairs, and his very close relationship with June Carter.
Which became central to his recovery story, right?
Absolutely. June became his rock. She, her mother Maybelle, and Ezra Carter literally moved into his mansion for a month to help him detox.
Wow, that's serious commitment.
Incredible support. And it led to that famous public proposal on stage in London, Ontario, February '68. They got married just a week later, March 1st, but only after she made him promise he'd cleaned up.
A condition for marriage.
It seems like it. Around this time, he also had this big religious experience, rediscovered his Christian faith at an altar call in Nashville.
So, a period of real change.
Yes, but maybe not overnight.
Yeah.
His bassist, Marshall Grant, said Cash didn't actually fully quit the amphetamines right away in '68. Grant believed it was really the birth of his son, John Carter Cash, in 1970 that gave him the final push to end his dependence. That led to about 7 years of sobriety. But, with addiction, it's often not a simple straight line. Recovery is tough.
Relapses happen.
Exactly. And they did for Cash. He went back to amphetamines around 1977. By '83, he was deep in it again and went to the Betty Ford Clinic.
Okay.
He managed to stay clean for several years after that, but the cycle, unfortunately, continued.
Mm-hmm.
He went into treatment again in Nashville in '89, and his final rehab stint was in '92 at Loma Linda in California.
A long battle.
A lifelong battle. And poignantly, his son, John Carter Cash, ended up going to that same Loma Linda facility for his own treatment a few months later. Really underscores the family impact.
Oh, yeah.
Cash summed it up pretty powerfully in an interview in '97. He said, "I was taking the pills for a while, and the pills started taking me."
Stark. Honest. Really captures the struggle. Really.
Beyond the music, activism and advocacy. Okay, let's shift focus a bit. Let's talk about another really important side of Johnny Cash's work inside prisons. This wasn't just for show, was it?
Not at all. It came from a real place of empathy. He felt a connection to the incarcerated. His first big prison concert was actually way back, New Year's Day, 1958, at San Quentin.
Before the famous albums, then?
Right, but it was those live albums that really made his mark as a voice for people behind bars. Johnny Cash at Folsom Prison in '68, Johnny Cash at San Quentin in '69.
Huge albums.
Massive.
Both hit #1 of the Billboard country charts. And San Quentin even topped the pop album charts. For a time in '69, he was outselling pretty much everyone, even the Beatles, globally.
Incredible crossover success.
The Folsom album kicked off with that iconic version of Folsom Prison Blues. San Quentin gave us that huge hit single, A Boy Named Sue.
Which was kind of a novelty song, wasn't it? Written by Shel Silverstein.
Yeah, but it hit #1 country, #2 pop. Huge. And he didn't just play prisons in the U.S. He did a concert at Österåker Prison in Sweden in '72.
Really?
Yeah, there's a live album from that too, Poe Österåker. He even changed the lyrics in San Quentin to Österåker for that show.
Ah, clever.
And he taped another concert inside Tennessee State Prison in '76 for TV.
Huh.
That deep commitment really shows how much this meant to him. And it's interesting how that empathy for prisoners connected with his broader themes like redemption, but also with his patriotism.
How so?
Well, he really valued national service, partly because of his own time in the Air Force. He was very supportive of his nephew, Roy Outlaw Cash Jr., who was a Navy captain.
Okay.
And there's this cool story, not widely known until recently, that his nephew and a historian uncovered. On St. Patrick's Day, 1975, Cash actually diverted his tour schedule to play a special free concert for military folks at the Naval War College in Rhode Island.
No kidding. Just decided to do it.
Yep. Brought June Carter and Carl Perkins along, too. Just showed his commitment extended beyond prison walls to those serving the country as well. It was a complex kind of patriotism.
And his activism didn't end there. He became a really significant and sometimes controversial voice for Native Americans.
Yeah, that was groundbreaking for the time, especially in country music.
He used his fame to shine a light on their struggles, singing songs about Indigenous history and humanity, trying to challenge the government's narrative. Not many other non-Native artists were doing that then.
Very few, if any, in the mainstream country scene.
He talked about it on Pete Seeger's TV show Rambo Quest back in '65. Said he'd written Old Apache Squaw way back in '57, but was re-engaging with the issue.
But he faced pushback, right? Even from his own label.
Oh, yeah. Columbia Music apparently didn't want those songs on his next album, thought they were too radical for the public.
Which really makes you think, why was that considered so radical in country music in the 60s?
Good question. What was the context?
Well, a lot of country music back then, especially in the 50s and early 60s, still leaned heavily on that romanticized image of the cowboy, taming the West, claiming native land.
Right, the sort of John Wayne narrative.
Exactly. So, for Cash to come along singing about Indian suffering, about the violence of settlers, it flew directly in the face of that mainstream story.
Challenged the myth.
Totally. The album was Bitter Tears, Ballads of the American Indian, from 1964. Came out right after I Walked the Line, was huge. It told stories of different tribes, Pima, Navajo, Apache, Lakota, Seneca, Cherokee, focusing on their oppression.
Powerful stuff.
A lot of the songs were written by Peter Lafarge, a folk singer and activist Cash really admired. But the single, The Ballad of Ira Hayes.
About the Iwo Jima flag raiser.
Yeah. Radio stations mostly refused to play it. The label barely promoted it, called it provocative and unappealing. The country music establishment pushed back hard. One magazine editor even told him he should leave the Country Music Association.
Wow, told him he was too intelligent for country folks.
Basically, yeah. Said, you and your crowd are just too intelligent to associate with plain country folks, country artists, and country DJs. Just shows the prejudice he was up against.
So, faced with that kind of backlash, how did Cash react?
His response was pure Johnny Cash. Fierce. Unforgettable. August 22, 1964, he took out a full-page ad in Billboard magazine.
An ad? What did it say?
He called out the industry directly, addressed it to DJ station managers owners, and asked, where are your guts? Said he had to fight back when stations were afraid of Ira Hayes, asked why. Called the song Strong Medicine, just like he said Rochester, Harlem, Birmingham, and Vietnam.
Wow. Pulling no punches? Connecting it to civil rights and the war?
Exactly. Then he personally started calling DJs he knew, persuading them to play the song.
Did it work?
It did. The Ballad of Ira Hayes climbed to number 3 on the country charts. The Bitter Tears album hit number 2. His persistence paid off, and he kept at it. Told Native American stories on his TV show, The Johnny Cash Show, through songs, short films, about things like the Trail of Tears. The Seneca Nation even adopted him into their Turtle Clan in '66. He played benefit concerts on reservations. He didn't back down. And it's fascinating how this activism played out even at the highest levels, like with President Nixon.
Ah, the White House performance in 1970?
Right. Nixon invited him. But Nixon's office specifically requested he sing Merle Haggard's Okie for Muskogee and Guy Drake's Welfare Cadillac.
Which had those sort of anti-hippie, anti-poor messages.
Exactly. Cash declined. He said he didn't have time to rehearse them, but also hinted they might backfire because of, their problematic nature.
So what did he play instead?
He played the Ballad of Ira Hayes.
Seriously? To Nixon?
Yep. And What is Truth and Man in Black.
Incredible. Took some guts.
Nixon apparently joked in his introduction, one thing I learned about him was one did not tell him what to sing. Perfectly sums up Cash's independence, right? Even facing the president.
Absolutely. Still, he remained patriotic in his own way, didn't he?
Oh, yeah. He was Grand Marshal for the Bicentennial Parade in '76, played a concert at the Washington Monument. It was a complex, nuanced patriotism, the enduring icon, later years and legacy.
Okay, let's talk about the Johnny Cash Show. His TV variety show on ABC ran 69 to 71, right from the Ryman Auditorium in Nashville.
Yeah, that show was a really unique platform for him.
Yeah.
And for music in general at the time.
Had his regular crew, the Statler brothers, the Carter family, Carl Perkins, real family vibe.
Definitely. But the guests he brought on, incredibly diverse.
Totally. Linda Ronstadt got her first big TV break there. He had Neil Young, Louis Armstrong, James Taylor, Joni Mitchell. Just amazing artists.
And that famous duet with Bob Dylan, Girl from the North Country.
Iconic moment. Cash even wrote the liner notes for Dylan's Nashville Skyline album, won a Grammy for them.
Showed his deep connection across genres.
But maybe the most telling story about his integrity on that show involves Chris Christopherson's song Sunday Morning Coming Down.
The Stone line.
Exactly. Network execs wanted him to change the lyric, I'm wishing, Lord, that I was stoned. Too controversial.
What did Cash do?
He refused, flat out. And during the live show, he paused, looked right at the camera, and sang the line. Deliberately.
Classic Cash. Defiant. Authentic.
Total refusal to compromise his art or his friend's art for the network suits. Really solidified that image he answered to no one.
So, thinking about his career arc, the 70s and 80s were a bit different, weren't they? His chart dominance kind of faded.
Yeah, his popularity dipped a bit, fewer big hits. He even did commercials for Amoco, STP, Lionel Trains.
Which maybe seemed a little off-brand for the Man in Black.
Especially.
During the energy crisis.
Could be seen that way. But he found other outlets. His storytelling translated really well to writing. That first autobiography, Man in Black, from '75, sold over 1 million copies. Huge success.
Yeah.
Then he wrote Cash, the autobiography, later, in '97. And his faith remained central. He co-wrote and narrated that film, Gospel Road, a story of Jesus, in '73.
Right, and appeared often with Billy Graham.
Yeah. He also did more acting, was in episodes of Columbo, Little House on the Prairie, played abolitionist John Brown in the miniseries North and South.
Kept busy across different fields.
And he built friendships with presidents, especially Jimmy Carter. They were actually distant cousins through June.
Interesting connection. So even if the chart hit slowed down, he was still very much a public figure making an impact.
Absolutely. And the official recognition kept coming. 1980, inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame. At 48, he was the youngest living inductee ever at the time.
Huge honor. Testament to his impact already.
But yeah, chart success in the 80s was still a struggle, even though he toured constantly. But then he teamed up with some old friends.
Highwaymen?
Exactly. Waylon Jennings, Willie Nelson, Chris Christopherson. That supergroup was massive. 3 hit albums between '85 and '95.
Legends together. Great stuff.
This period also had that completely bizarre relapse story, triggered by being kicked by an ostrich on his farm.
You just can't make that up. Painkillers for an ostrich injury led to a relapse.
Unbelievable. Life is strange.
And then, in '88, he visits Waylon Jennings in the hospital after Waylon's heart attack. Decides to get checked himself, ends up needing preventive double bypass surgery.
Wow. Good thing he did.
And afterwards, remembering that ostrich incident maybe, he refused all prescription painkillers. Didn't want to risk another relapse. Shows his determination, that constant struggle.
Yeah.
It's really something. And speaking of strange moments, there was that Chicken in Black song in '84 with Columbia.
Oh, yeah, the self-parody song. What's the real story there?
Well, biographer Robert Hilburn says Cash didn't record it as a protest against Columbia, like some people thought. Hilburn says Cash actually embraced it at first, filmed a comedic music video dressed like a superhero bank robber.
Seriously?
Yeah, but apparently Waylon Jennings saw it on Cash's Christmas TV special and called him a buffoon.
Ouch. From a friend.
Yeah. After that, Cash reportedly got really angry, demanded the song and video be pulled, called the whole thing a fiasco. It probably didn't help his relationship with Columbia.
Likely contributed to him leaving them.
Probably. He had a short, pretty unsuccessful run with Mercury Records after that, but he kept working, exploring other things. Published his only novel, Man in White, about the Apostle Paul in '86. Even did a spoken word recording of the entire New Testament in 1990.
But then the '90s arrived, and something truly amazing happened. One of the greatest career comebacks ever.
Absolute incredible resurgence. He wasn't really being courted by major labels anymore, hadn't had consistent hits for a while.
But things started to turn. Interestingly, it began with British post-punk musicians. a tribute album called Till Things Are Brighter.
Indie bands covering his songs.
Yeah, his daughter Roseanne said it was a huge morale booster for him.
Hmm.
He felt validated by this younger alternative audience discovering his work.
That must have felt good.
And it led to these cool, unexpected collaborations. He worked with a Christian punk band, One Bad Pig,
Okay.
and then famously with U2 on their Zeropa album in '93, sang Lead on the Wanderer.
Which Bono wrote specifically for him.
Right. Rolling Stone called it a song that defies both the U2 and Cash Cannons, a mix of '90s synth pop and country lament. It just showed he was breaking out of any box people tried to put him in, connecting with a whole new generation.
And that set the stage for that legendary collaboration with producer Rick Rubin and American Recordings.
The American Recording series, just phenomenal.
The process itself was revolutionary for him. That first album, American Recordings, in '94, mostly just recorded in his living room. Just him and his Martin guitar. So raw, so intimate.
Stripped down, powerful.
It was a massive critical and commercial hit. Won the Grammy for Best Contemporary Folk Album. And Cash himself said playing the Glastonbury Festival in '94, this huge UK rock festival, and getting that amazing reception was one of the highlights of his entire career.
Wow. Validation from a completely new crowd.
Totally. And that was just the start of this incredible final chapter. He followed it with Unchained in '96, backed by Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
Another Grammy.
Great record. Then American the Third, Solitary Man in 2000, American the Fourth, The Man Comes Around in 2002. Just kept delivering these powerful albums. And his covers of contemporary songs, Nine Inch Nails' Hurt, Depeche Mode's Personal Jesus, they were stunning.
Hurt, especially. Just devastatingly beautiful.
Trent Reznor from Nine Inch Nails was skeptical at first, but when he heard Cash's version, he was blown away. Called it beautiful.
Yeah.
Said it felt like the song wasn't his anymore.
High praise.
And the music video for Hurt, just incredible. Won a Grammy, critical acclaim everywhere. It cemented his legendary status all over again, introduced him to yet another generation.
But alongside this incredible artistic high, his health was declining, wasn't it? That final chapter is just heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's tough. In '97, he got diagnosed with Scheidegger syndrome, this rare neurodegenerative disease. Later, they re-diagnosed it as autonomic neuropathy linked to his diabetes.
Basically affecting his body's automatic functions.
Right. It eventually forced him to stop touring. Then '98, he got severe pneumonia, which damaged his lungs permanently, made things even harder.
And then the biggest blow. June Carter Cash passing away in May 2003.
Oh, that just devastated him. Rick Rubin said it tore him up. Unimaginable loss after all those years together.
But she had told him to keep working, right?
Yeah. And incredibly, in the last 4 months of his life, fueled by her memory and maybe her words, he recorded something like 60 songs.
60 songs.
Yeah.
In 4 months while grieving and ill.
Astonishing drive. His last public performance was July 5, 2003. Before he sang Ring of Fire, he read this statement he'd written about June's spirit being with him, giving him courage.
Oh, wow. Must have been incredibly emotional.
He said, "We connect somewhere between here and heaven. She came down for a short visit to give me courage and inspiration like she always has. Just heartbreakingly beautiful."
His very last recordings were just weeks before he died.
Yeah, August 24, 2003, like the 309 and Engine 143, a poignant end to a life absolutely steeped in music. And then, not long after, that incredible life journey ended. September 12, 2003. He passed away at Baptist Hospital in Nashville. Complications from diabetes. He was 71.
Less than 4 months after June.
Yeah, almost impossibly sad, that timing. A true legendary love story ending so closely together. He was buried next to her in Hendersonville, near their home. His story became part of America's fabric. The multifaceted man, unpacking Johnny Cash's influence.
What a life. We've really gone deep into this complex, compelling story, thinking about his whole persona. Rolling Stone nailed it, didn't they? Calling him part rural preacher, part outlaw Robin Hood, a blue-collar prophet.
Who spoke truth to power. Yeah, that captures it well. He defied easy labels, held all these contradictions, but somehow remained completely authentic.
Utterly himself.
And that ability to cross genres is really key to his unique legacy, isn't it? He wasn't just country. He touched rock and roll, rockabilly, blues, folk, gospel, and influenced all of them.
Truly genre-bending before that was even really a term.
Which is why he has that incredibly rare distinction, inducted into 5 major music halls of fame: country, rock and roll, gospel, Nashville songwriters, Memphis music.
5. Wow, that's got to be almost unique.
Rolling Stone pointed out that besides Elvis, Cash was pretty much the only artist inducted as a performer into both the country and rock and roll halls of fame. That says everything about his reach.
And the awards just kept coming, reflecting that status. The Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award, the Kennedy Center Honors, the National Medal of Arts, top honors.
Deservedly so.
And remember that Hurt video? Won the Grammy for cinematography, made him the oldest artist ever nominated for an MTV VMA.
And that moment when Justin Timberlake won Best Video that year.
Oh, yeah. He said it was a travesty, that Cash deserved it more.
That level of respect
Yeah.
across generations and genres, that's real influence. Absolutely. And his influence wasn't just his own music, but how he championed others, like Bob Dylan. Cash was crucial in encouraging Dylan's move to electric, his shift away from strict protest folk.
Defended him at Newport 65.
Well, he wrote a letter to Broadside Magazine after Newport 64,
Yeah.
telling people to basically shut up and let him sing, which really impacted Dylan, gave him cover to evolve.
Wow, like a protective older brother figure almost.
In a way, yeah. And his influence just keeps going. Those tribute albums right before he died, Kindred Spirits, Dressed in Black, full of diverse artists paying respect. And the posthumous releases keep coming.
Unearthed, American V and 6, Out Among the Stars.
And that new one announced for 2024, Songwriter, with demos from '93. We're still discovering parts of his legacy.
And what about his mark on culture beyond music? It's everywhere.
It really is. His support for SOS children's villages, for example. Tangible things, too. Johnny Cash Parkway in Hendersonville, the Johnny Cash Museum in Nashville.
That flower picking festival in Starkville giving him a symbolic pardon for picking flowers.
Ah, perfect.
Yeah.
And his tour bus, JC Unit 1, is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
And that tarantula named after him, near Folsom Prison.
A Phonopelma Johnny Cashy. You can't make this stuff up. It's wonderful.
There's a Johnny Cash trail in Folsom. His boyhood home is a historic site. The biopic Walk the Line was huge.
Phenomenal film. Joaquin Phoenix, Reese Witherspoon, both amazing. Won Oscars.
Musicals too, Ring of Fire, $1 Million Quartet. He's even a character in that upcoming Bob Dylan movie.
His story just resonates.
And now Arkansas putting his statue in the National Statuary Hall in D.C., representing the state. That's a huge, lasting honor. What an incredible journey we've taken, just deep into the life of Johnny Cash, a man who really was full of contradictions, wasn't he? Gospel singer, outlaw image, deep faith, deep addiction, advocate for the marginalized, friend to presidents. He struggled, he loved fiercely, and he always, always used that voice for people on the edges.
And that's it, isn't it? His radical authenticity, his willingness to just lay it all out there, the sorrow, the faith, the search for redemption, no matter the genre, no matter what people thought. That's what made him a legend. He made his own path.
Stayed true to the man in black.
And in doing that, he spoke for so many people.
So, as we wrap up, here's a thought to leave you with. He had all these labels thrown at him: man in black, outlaw, country star, gospel singer. But Cash himself said, "I'm a Christian. Don't put me in another box." What does that mean, to resist being categorized, to define yourself? How does that idea resonate in your own life when you face expectations or labels?
It's a great question. And I'd really encourage you, if you haven't lately, go listen to more of his music, especially those later American recordings, or check out some of the documentaries. You'll just get an even richer sense of his depth, his impact, and the enduring power of his story. It's quite something.